Рейнджер, так, добре. Це лучниця, якщо щось по один. Коротше, зараз покажуть там Ай, блядь, язик прикусив. Рейнджера, тобто лучницю із ВСП-2.
I've lived in this forest all my life. And if there's one thing I've
По 2, якщо релізиться або в кінці цього року, або на початку наступного.
A beast will hunt you. But it is the cruelty of man I fear. There is no truly escaping the Count's justice.
Your sentence is to be hanged from the neck until dead. Let your souls feed the first ones, and your bodies feed the land. After her! Fury!
This exile has changed me. No more running. No more fear.
You won't get away this time.
Ну, їх босів показують.
I will put an end to this madness.
А їбать. Що? Маунт? Це Poison? Lightning?
Let this be a warning, Gianor. I'm coming for you next.
Ну, прикольно, типу, що. Нічого не зрозуміло по цьому штука, але виглядає прикольно, як завжди. Типу, показали щось типу Toxic Rain, але швидше, показали щось типу Lightning Arrow, але інший. Показали якийсь деш з айшотом, коротше. Так.
When we started to work on the Ranger, we knew we had to make a class with high agility. The dream of fast bow gameplay is Legolas, so that's what we wanted to deliver. The starting point is moving while shooting a bow. Any kind of basic arrow skill can be fired while moving, with a movement penalty.
Будь-який bow скіл ти можеш під час руху юзати.
Here I'm starting each battle with a poison burst arrow to poison groups of enemies, then using a lightning arrow to arc lightning around larger packs. For even more mobility, we also have a variety of skills.
Дуже багато мобіліті, коротше, у рейнджерки буде.
This is Frost Escape. Using it jumps backwards and shoots a freezing arrow at the ground. Really useful if monsters close on you and you need to get away. Once you've landed, if monsters were frozen, it'd be nice to have some way to take advantage of that extra time. This is where Snipe comes in. Snipe is a skill shot that you need to charge up and release at exactly the right time. If you land the right timing, Snipe is guaranteed to produce a critical strike.
Коротше, снайп треба заряджати і в конкретний момент відпустити, щоб він найбільше демедж наніс. Типу, не максимум зарядити, а в конкретний момент відпустити.
This skill is Lightning Rod. It shoots an arrow into the air that sticks into the ground and does a small AoE. Once the rods are in the ground, though, they attract any arcs of lightning that are nearby, causing them to explode again. This means you can stack up a bunch of lightning rods on the ground and bounce lightning between them, doing way more damage. Now this takes care of packs pretty well, but for bigger enemies, I'd like to have something that's going to enhance my damage output too. This skill is Stormcaller Arrow. Using it sticks an arrow into an enemy. After a short period of time, a lightning bolt comes from the sky and strikes them. This has a high chance to shock them, and shocked enemies take 30% more damage from all sources. If something big walks along, it's a good idea to throw one of these at them first to enhance your damage before following up with the other combo.
Escape shot.
Now, if I really want to enhance this combo, there are a couple of things I could do using our support gem system. Skills in Path of Exile are granted by items called skill gems. Each skill gem has colored sockets in it, and these sockets are for other items called support gems. Support gems modify your skills, and it's where a huge amount of the customization of your character comes from. First, I'm going to take this multiple projectile support gem. I could add it to my lightning arrow, and it would fire multiple arrows. This would increase the number of targets I can hit, but that isn't the effect that I'm after. If I add it to my lightning rod skill instead, then when I fire it, I get a nice group of rods. This means that I don't have to spend as much time setting up before I can use it with my lightning arrow combo.
Це не однолінки. Просто лінків
I
тепер
might also
немає,
add
це, ну, це
faster
4
projectiles
лінки
to
всі.
make the lightning rods land faster too. Now next up I'm going to grab this chain support gem. Chaining causes many effects to repeat on new targets when you hit them. If I add it to my lightning arrow, it will cause the arcs that come out of lightning arrow to strike even more targets.
Блять, як же цікава
rippling along my
кастомізація
line of lightning rods
виглядає.
for huge
Подивіться,
amounts of
подивіться,
damage.
наскільки сильно скіли міняються. Це дуже схожа система на ластепах, те, що я вам казав. Типу, в ластепах дуже класна система кастомізації, типу, зміни свого скіла. А тут те ж саме, це супергуд.
Let's start simple. I'm going to chuck less duration on here. This will cause the lightning from the sky to strike a bit faster. Next up, we have a support called shock proliferation. This support makes it so that any enemies shocked by the skill will also have the shock jump to nearby enemies, meaning they'll take the extra damage as well. It's just a chance to proc, so it's not going to proc on every single pack, but when it does, a pack will go down ultra quick.
Так.
Another useful empowering skill is Barrage. Barrage is one of the rare cooldown skills in PoE 2. It enhances whatever your
Cooldown
next
skill?
attack is to fire 3 times.
Ого.
With what we have here, I think it might be a good idea to use it with lightning.
Коротше, абілка. Ти натискаєш, і наступна атака юзається 3 рази одразу.
You could also use it at just the right moment with Snipe, or any number of other skills depending on what effect you need more of right now.
Єбать,
It's very
він...
versatile and can be used in a range of
снайпнути теж можна.
situations. Now, even as mobile as the Ranger is, it's still very useful to slow monsters down, and a Ranger certainly has quite a few tools to do this. If you're prepared to get up close and personal, we have a skill called Electrocuting Rod. First, jump over the enemy and shoot it into them. Once the rod's in place, any lightning damage they take will build up a special electrocute gauge. Once the gauge is full, the monster is totally suppressed, allowing you to kill them easily.
Коротше, якийсь suppress gauge,
Now,
чи що там
sometimes when you use
білдиться на
electrocuting rod,
мобах.
the enemy dies before you get a chance to electrocute them.
Чат, не спамте,
I
не
think
спамте
there's
сильно.
another support gem I could add to my lightning arrow to fix this problem. Neural Overload will make it easier to electrocute enemies. If the skill it's attached to puts them over 50% of their electrocute bar, it will trigger instantly.
Ну, якась склопушка і просто знищують, подивіться, чел. Просто чел не танчить нічого, але ну знову ж таки, типу, немає сенсу нічого обговорювати там кнопками ходити. Ну, ти можеш або ВСД ходити, або лівою кнопкою миші. Як хочеш.
But I'd like to improve my crowd control ability for groups as well.
Crowd control,
I'm
так.
going to add a support gem called Frozen Nexus to my Frost Escape. This makes an area of chilled ground around frozen enemies.
Shield ground створює,
I'll
так.
also add Deep Freeze to it as well, which will make the freezes last a bit longer.
Коротше, немає сенсу казати
Now when I use my Frost Escape on that front enemy,
про демедж
others
або
nearby are
виживаємість, ми
slowed
не
down.
знаємо, які шмотки у нього.
It would also be good if I had a way to slow enemies down when they're farther away from me as well. So this
Новий
would be a
skill.
great time to start getting into the Ranger's poison and plant-based skill set. To
Коротше,
start
Toxic
with,
Rain.
let's have a look at Vine Arrow.
Чисто з
This
однієї
skill
цієї.
fires an arrow into the air that creates a small plant where it lands. The plant
Тупо
sends out
прив'язати в мові,
tendrils to
окей.
nearby enemies, slowing them down and poisoning them. But it does have another function too. If the plant gets further poisoned, it transfers that poison to the monsters it's attached to. Normally you would only be able to get one stack of poison on a monster at a time, but you can put as much poison as you want on this plant.
Да, інстерін геров, скоріше, да.
You
My
could
bad.
just use the plant to slow monsters down and not worry about the poison part. But if you want to go all in on poison, this is the way to do it.
Так, в грі начебто більше немає Magic Rare мобів. Подивись, типу, жодного Rare моба або Magic моба немає.
This skill creates these plant pustules on the ground. If you wait a little while, they'll explode.
Наче.
Just like any other plant skill, these plants respond well to poison. Shoot the poison burst arrow at enemies nearby and watch your plants grow more and more powerful. Poisoning the pustules causes them to do much more damage and makes them explode much faster as well. I can also add the Pierce support to Poison Burst Arrow. Doing this will mean I get multiple poison bursts as it goes through each monster.
О, типу, навіть оця хуйня величезна, це не рарка, це просто звичайний моб. Може, вона більше не буде рарка.
We
Так,
also have
скіл.
another skill to make a nice environment for your plants to grow. Gas Cloud Arrow. This skill shoots the ground and creates a cloud of gas that continuously
Карл.
poisons things inside it. Throw your plants down, then put a gas cloud on top. The constant poisoning will make them grow.
Коротше, ти оцим скілом будуєш на землі, коротше, спори якісь, і коусік аеровом своїм вибуховуєш їх. До речі, ви бачили, як він одним кліком всі геми витягнув?
This is a reservation skill, meaning it uses spirit. When I enable it, I get this counter that counts up whenever I apply poison to a monster. You can see the counter on the skill increasing as each new monster is poisoned.
А де каунтер, я не бачу. Ось каунтер. Коротше, коли ти пойзониш, оця штука набирається. І ти набираєш, і в будь-який момент, я так розумію, можеш щось бахнути.
Whenever I choose, I can unleash the poison in a big explosion around my character, dealing a large amount of damage. Now next up we have a
Rain of Arrows.
Rain of Arrows.
Блін, цікаво виглядає.
Shoot a bunch of arrows in the sky and they rain down for a short time. It's decent AoE and damage at long range. Now this skill doesn't last too long, but we can change that. It's time to introduce frenzy charges. Frenzy charges are used for a variety of skills on the ranger, but with Rain of Arrows they can be used to extend the duration. How do we get some though? Here we have a skill called Sniper's Mark. Put it on an enemy and it will grant you a frenzy charge when you crit them. Now remember that snipe skill from earlier? That skill guarantees a critical hit. So first we Sniper's Marked an enemy, then we sniped them. And after that, the next Rain of Arrows will last a really, really long time. We still have some weaknesses
Corrosion
though.
Saport.
While Rain of Arrows hits enemies with a ton of arrows, each one doesn't do much damage individually. It would be nice if we had a way to break the armor on enemies so that Rain of Arrows dealt more damage. Thankfully, we have this Corrode Armor support gem, and we can put it on our Gas Cloud arrow. Corrode Armor causes poison to erode the armor on targets until it's all gone. This will significantly increase the damage that Rain of Arrows does against armored targets.
Коротше, можна дебафи іншими скілами накладати,
типу, and one more thing about gas clouds. They can be detonated with explosions.
Газ клауди тепер ще вибухають.
Let's check it out.
Класна взаємодія між скілами, насправді. Це прекрасно.
Now, because monsters and gas clouds are likely to have their armor broken, I think there's another useful combo we can do. This is an exploit weakness support. This support provides extra bonus damage to targets that have their armor broken. Perfect for what we have going on here. So, those are just some of the skills we have on the Ranger class in Path of Exile 2. Now that we've seen all these skills, let's see how well they do against a much tougher enemy. It's time to fight the boss of the temples, Thanos.
Кітавас Curse Madness, що ще кажу. Це ж через 20 років після Кітави вже. Да, ну я кажу, бос дизайн в PoE це просто вау. PoE 2 я маю на увазі. Мені супер подобається абсолютно кожен бос. Да, PoE 20 років після PoE 1. Я вам ще раз кажу, не варто оцінювати демедж, тому що, ну, ви не знаєте навіть який гір у персонажа. Вам очевидно покажуть персонажа, щоб розтягнути, щоб показати абсолютно всі механіки, всі комбінації у персонажа, всі комбінації у боса і так далі. Ну, не буде, вам не покажуть. Ну, уявіть їбало, якби вдягнули персонажа в якийсь нормальний гір, і він просто зайшов би і за 10 секунд типу вбив би боса. Це було б цікаво? Це було б не цікаво. Тому не аргумент. І вибухай. Вибухнути це треба. Ось. Мені супер подобається.
Kill swiftly and move on. This is how you survive.
That's the Ranger. But oh yeah, there was one more thing. The Mount. Check this out.
Маунт. Так.
Yes, you can ride a rower. While riding the rower, you can
Кататись
shoot
на
arrows
роа.
with no movement penalty. It's pretty overpowered. You
Так.
can also use your vaulting skills to jump right
Це
off the
скіл
rower's
чи це в
back.
цілому
Once
маунт?
the rower doesn't have a rider, it starts attacking monsters, so he's nice to have around, even if you're not riding him. That said, if you are riding, don't get hit. If you take a heavy stun while on a rower, you'll fall off, and it takes a while to get up. So be
Якщо
careful.
ти зловиш стан під час того, як ти на роа, ти дуже
So
довго
that's what we
достанеш.
wanted to show you
Ну, на
today.
який час.
Now there is just one more rather
Diablo 5
unfortunate bit of
виглядає круто.
news. Path of Exile 2's beta is going to be delayed. We
Блядь.
previously said that we would get the beta out on June 7th.
Ні.
And while I think we would be able to get the game's content ready in time, we underestimated how long it would take to get gameplay polished to a standard
Вони
we're happy with.
переносять
We're
бету
still going to be
закриту.
doing alpha testing in June, but we're going to be delaying the beta until later in the year.
Альфа,
I don't
почекай,
have an
альфа
exact date for you
буде.
today, but it should be towards the end of the year. In the meantime, you can still play Path of Exile 1, of course.
Мама рідна,
Now,
вони
speaking of
вони
PoE1,
переносять бету
We also have the
на кінець
3.24
року.
expansion to announce. I'm going to hand over to Mark, the game director on PoE1. to
Ясно,
show us
короче,
what's in store.
побачимо пою в 2026-му.
We had a lot of fun making this one, so let's just get straight into it with the trailer for Path of Exile Necropolis.
Так, поя один, чат, логінуємось. Окей, добре, чат, це буде не остання ліга в поя, готуйтесь. Нам ще 10 нахуй ліг чекати, нормально. Так, let's go, дід, давай.
Cold flesh, dirt, maggots, and ghosts. Our job
Не
is
спам,
to
будь ласка.
keep them where they
Костя.
belong. It's your first night, so you'll need this. A ghostly lantern for ghastly tinkering.
А? Стоп! Це інший айс-шот був, блядь!
You'll
Вони
learn
альтернативний
to
шот
peer
придумали.
into the souls of the dead. You'll learn how to twist them.
Це новий метаморф?
Meet me in the
Блядь, у мене мурашки.
necropolis.
Нікроп, так.
You can pilfer shiny things
Ah.
from a corpse. But you can pilfer glorious things from a soul.
Це новий Harvest?
I need a grave digger.
Тір 17. Ясно. Мультипо. Так. А, ой, це супер гуд. Пен Ultimate Bosses? Шо, блядь? Що це, блядь, з босами?
The job's hard, but the pay's good. What do you say?
А що вони з босами зробили, блядь? Це що це було?
In the Necropolis League, you will
Почекай, да.
encounter Undertaker Aramor, a man collecting the scattered spirits of the Eternal Empire for a mysterious purpose. These spirits have begun to haunt the monsters of Rayclast, unleashing their ancient fury and sorrow onto the world.
Так.
The Undertaker will provide you with the Lantern of Aramor,
Слухай, здається, нова ліга буде супер гуд.
heirloom which can illuminate the wrathful spirits haunting monsters throughout Rayclast. With
Окей,
it,
нам треба
the
духів
Undertaker
збирати.
hopes to employ you to rid Rayclast
Пішов.
of this menace and further his cryptic cause.
Що першу мавки,
The
так.
lantern can be used when entering any new area.
Коли заходиш
When
в будь-яку
peering
нову
through it, you can
локацію.
examine the spirits haunting that area. The lantern also allows you to manipulate them, letting you configure which monsters are affected by which mods. It
А,
would
ти
be
моди...
wise to take your
Ого,
time with your decisions
єбать.
here, for the spirits are not forgiving.
Почекай.
When peering through the lantern, you can also see extra details about the packs of monsters in the area. Rowers here are considered common, whereas the water elementals are more scarce. If you want things to be easier, you can put the more difficult spirits on the elementals, which you'll encounter less often. We've tried
Окей,
to
ти
make sure that
підсилюєш
by
звичайних
engaging with the
мобів.
lantern, you are able to intelligently
Бо
control
перед
the
входом в
difficulty in the Necropolis
нову...
League. The spirits come in a number of
Локація.
forms which represent the danger they pose. For example here, the infested vultures are servant-haunted, causing them to deal a small amount of increased damage. But the Vol's vanguard are noble-haunted, causing them to deal a large amount of increased damage.
Окей,
As you
так.
reach higher level
Це
areas
зрозуміло.
in
О, новий
Breakfast,
шот,
the
дивіться.
tier and number of spirits that are haunting monsters will generally increase. Your game knowledge can help you here. If you're aware of the composition of a monster pack, this means certain mods will be easier to manage. For example, the mod that increases a pack's damage for every monster killed has no effect on packs with a single monster, like a Devourer. However,
Okay, це
if we
логічно.
found a spirit that makes the strongest monster in a pack deal 100% more damage, well, I'm going to avoid the Devourer.
Окей, ну да.
You
Короче,
might have
можна
noticed that the Lantern of
комбі...
Aramor provides
Короче, тут буде
other
скіли
useful
жучат.
information, such as the types of abilities monsters use,
Треба буде
or the
думати,
damage types they
куди,
deal.
на якого моба, який баф
So for
навісити.
those who are less familiar
Щоб
with
було
how these
як можна
monsters
легше.
work, this can be a great way to learn what you're up against. The spirits are constantly moving throughout Rayclast, so if you are finding a campaign area too difficult, you can just wait a few minutes and peer through the lantern again to see what's changed. Of course, powerful spirits beget powerful rewards. There are two reasons why you might want to face a challenge now and then. Firstly, not all the spirits are malicious. Sometimes the monsters aren't haunted at all, but are instead devoted. These can
Devoted.
grant basic rewards like increased experience, or bigger rewards like spawning the Nameless Seer, an
Nameless
NPC that
Seer?
will grant you a single unique item
А,
after you
тіпа, це той
defeat all of the
самий,
packs affected
який
by that
уніки
spirit.
продає. В
The
цій
more
лізі
haunted
продавав.
monsters you defeat
Я його,
in
до
the
речі, жодного
previous
разу так і
area
не побачив.
before using the lantern, the more likely the devoted monsters will appear in the next area. Monsters haunted by higher tier spirits will increase the chance of the devoted appearing even more, meaning that sometimes it's worth putting the hardest modifier possible on very common monsters, if you're brave enough.
Да, ну коротше.
Again, we've
Spawn
tried hard
Sorcerer
here to allow
Shrine,
players to
600%
customize the
increased
danger and rewards
experience.
as much as they can. Aramor is an undertaker, and you can probably guess what we're taking to
Блядь, не
here.
дай Бог це знову буде МФ Ліга.
The second main
Я
reward from the Necropolis
просто...
League is monsters with unresolved anguish. Once slain, their corpses need extra care from the Undertaker, and he will
Ого.
offer to take them back to his necropolis
Тупо
and
ще
store them in the morgue.
в морг забирає. Нормально.
Time to earn your keep,
Нічого, я дуже
When
сподіваюся, що
you're
вони
ready, you can
нахуй
visit the morgue to view
Quantity
the
of
monsters
Items
you have
взриви
collected,
видалять.
and then get to
За
work
шмоток.
burying them in one of many graves in Aramor's
Окей,
cemetery.
тупо
For
кладовище
example, we will
волерів.
bury this Katava's Herald. Aramor's mysterious soul
Так, і
experiments
що?
can coalesce powerful items. Here I've chosen to create a pair of boots.
Так, тапки крафтить і що?
Aid this soldier so that you may grace them with fleetness.
Вау,
These boots
Одна
are
алхімка.
useful for my character,
Вам не
but
видно.
aren't
Бля,
exactly
my bad.
what I hoped for.
Лайніше.
And this is where the Necropolis crafting system really shines. You'll have noticed that the corpse we collected earlier had a crafting effect on it.
Коротше, ти
In
збираєш
fact,
трупи.
all collected corpses do. If you bury multiple corpses in the cemetery,
So the
all
next
adjacent
visit?
corpses can be exercised at once to create one item. All of the crafting
Коротше,
effects
це
on
якийсь
those corpses
Harvest
will apply
2.0?
to that same item. This allows you to have either one or many different crafting projects ongoing in the cemetery. For example, next time I try to create boots, I could bury corpses that increase the chance of getting move speed modifiers.
Так, мовспід на
To go
наступному тапках буде, ну.
further, I could use these to generate higher tier modifiers.
Хайтір модифаєри
Then, I could try to bias it towards being an evasion pair with this.
і evade база. Тапок
Finally,
буде.
I'll apply some crafting effects that improve the probability of getting good rolls.
І хороший рол на тапках буде. І він зараз
Now,
будуть
let's
тапки
craft our item and see what we
евейдові
get.
з мувспідом. Дуже хорошим.
Armor, free you of your anguish and aid this soldier, so that you may grace them with fleetness.
As you can see now, we have a much better pair of boots, forged
Бах
from
also.
the souls of our enemies. You could even use the entire cemetery to craft
А,
one
тупо
item.
все
There
кладовище
is
заради одного
always something you can
айдема,
do to
так?
try and ensure your item will be as best as it can be.
Anguish and aid this soldier
We hope to see some really crazy grave crafts.
their destiny.
Так, і що там?
If you are
Покажи.
lucky, you might find corpses with meta crafting modifiers.
Блять, ну я не хочу
These
знову
can
що
be
там
buried to
стартувати.
manipulate your crafting projects in more drastic ways. This one increases the potency of all crafting effects of adjacent undead corpses. Another meta crafting modifier gives a chance to drop an extra item from your craft, with all the same crafting outcomes applied. All you have to do is bury a lot of undead monsters.
Ну окей, і що? Ну, коротше, він дуже багато на нас накопав могил і щось класне має виписати, що? Клас.
You can also craft new unique items exclusive to the Necropolis League using this system. As you explore Rayclast, you might find the corpses of famous Eternal Empire families. And when you bury an entire family together and exorcise them, they will thank you with a unique specific to their lineage.
Він буквально сказав, коли ви закопуєте всю сім'ю. Коротше, там якісь сім'ї будуть, ви можете закопати всю сім'ю.
For example, the Navalius Inheritance Belt.
О, новий пояс
I'll
якийсь.
give you a moment to check that out.
Flask applied increased effect per level, reduce
You
flask
can
effect
use
duration
other
per
corpses
level.
alongside them to grant implicit mods, manipulate
Sean.
the values of explicit mods, and more. In this case, with the Parandus Pact, you can even change the modifiers it generates. This unique is a jewel which adds extra stats to passive skills in a radius when
О, дивіться, він
socketed
всю
into
сім'ю
the passive skill
закапує.
tree.
Це буквально
The
вчорашній
stats it adds
Олер,
are
пам'ятаєте?
randomly
Олер
generated,
Бірстопа.
but you can bias it towards a specific type by using other crafting effects, such as this one, which increases the chance of getting life modifiers. Let's see what we get.
Life modifiers, так. Так.
Damn. We didn't get
Damn.
it this time. I guess we're gonna have to go and collect more
Так,
corpses.
Global Critical
Of
Stractions.
course,
Ну, не
you
те.
can trade the corpses away to other players. All you need to do is purchase empty coffins from the Undertaker and use them on your corpses in the morgue, which will itemize them.
Так, а тепер з морга тупо в гроб посадити. Блять, я вже
Another
бачу
item
ці
in the
рофи
Necropolis
про...
League that you
Ладно,
can
я не
find
буду.
are Embers of the All-Flame. These are monster spirits that remain living in the All-Flame, a powerful ancient artifact of Rayclast. And you can set them
мобів?
free by placing them in the Lantern of Aramor and defeating them. These
Короче,
embers
пак
drop
жаб
throughout
буде тепер, да?
Rayclast as itemized packs of monsters. You are able to use these packs to replace the packs in areas.
Ember
For
of
example,
Tafu.
we have found this All-Flame
Даруй
Ember
тату.
of Tarfor.
Он тату повернули!
We can now go to
Найс!
enter the next area and replace one of the monster packs in here. You can see we have also gotten one of the devoted modifiers to appear. We can pair up the Karui ancestors with this modifier, making them even more rewarding. Let's go ahead and replace the tentacle miscreations. However, when replacing packs, you want to double check
Pack
the
monsters
density,
can drop.
as the new pack will inherit the density of the replaced pack. The Karui ancestors we have now added to our area can even drop basic variations of tattoos. If you aren't aware, this is an item type from the Trial of the Ancestors League, which can be used on passive skills to change what they do. There are many different types of itemized packs. You can find Breach and Legion monsters that drop splinters, Untainted packs that provide insane amounts of experience, and even simple frogs, which can be used to replace difficult monsters to make life easier.
Слухай, нормально, пачка жаб.
And of course, these Ember monsters can be raised as specters too.
Спектри. Ой,
Finally,
блядь,
let's discuss
знову
how this
брокен
league
спектри
works in
будуть.
in-game maps.
Блядь,
Each
насрав би в
in-game
рот
map will allow you to
самонером.
manipulate it using the
Вибачаюсь,
lantern on the
без
map
негативу.
device UI. However, instead of randomly cycling every few minutes, it is fixed to that map. Once you view the map through the lantern, you cannot remove it from the map device. So you can't trade that map away now that you've seen it is too difficult for you.
Окей, не
Or
можна
has
трейдити
monsters in it
мапу.
that you'd rather avoid,
Якщо ти вже
like
побачив, типу, що тут.
porcupines. We're also trying something new this time around.
Щось нове, так.
During the Necropolis League, there will be support for the League on the Atlas passive tree.
Сапорт.
Multiple clusters will be there, allowing you to enhance the gameplay, customize it, and even change its behavior in meaningful ways.
Що?
One way that you can change the crafting
Так.
in a meaningful way is with the Prospero's Wager Keystone.
Всі трупи... Мама може reveal random
With
craft
this
when
keystone,
buried.
all the monsters with unresolved anguish come with this crafting modifier, which causes them to generate a random craft when buried.
Більш rare
This means
craft.
instead of
Ну, і що?
pre-planning your crafts, you have to adapt to them on the fly to get the best results. These clusters will not be available in Standard League.
Ніхуя не зрозумів.
In 3.24, we've made a plethora of changes to the endgame. We've introducing new bosses, adding another tier of maps,
А тепер скажіть, будь
and
ласка, що
streamlining
ви
the others.
видаляєте нахуй
The most
quantity і
difficult
rarity
and
з
most
айтемів.
rewarding content in Path of Exile can be found in Uber Pinnacle bosses, such as the Maven and the Searing Exarch.
Ой, покажіть босів,
Currently,
блядь.
the only way to access these
Чат,
bosses is
це
by
просто
allocating
пізна. Але як я
specific
їх на флікері
keystones
буду
on the
вбивати, я не
Atlas
уявляю.
passive tree. While this system offers a nice element of control, it causes a problem. Rewards and access to the non-Uber variants are now economically priced around the rewards of the Uber fights. This means it is wasteful to run the non-Uber variants instead of simply
Ні,
selling
тут нічого особливого. Це просто він про Call of
Another
Duty 5
problem
зараз
that we
каже.
noticed is the
Він
difficulty
каже, що
jump between
проблема
the
в
pinnacle
тому,
and Uber pinnacle content was
що
relatively low.
ціна проходки дуже сильно прив'язується до Uber-босів, і це не дуже добре.
Many players would give up on their characters before being able to defeat the Uber pinnacle bosses.
Тому що, типу,
In
проходка одна і те
3.24,
саме.
we will be making some changes to this. We are
Nice,
removing
видаляйте
the
нахуй.
keystones
Nice.
that give access to the Uber pinnacle
Я
bosses from the Atlas
давно,
tree,
блядь, казав.
and instead we'll be adding a new set of fragments that give you access to this content. Where do you get these fragments? We are adding a new tier of maps, tier 17
Tier
maps,
17 мапи.
which not
Let's
only
go.
give you access to the Uber pinnacle content, but also test your characters in new ways. They feature a new set of bosses, Uber
Нові
monsters,
боти, Uber-моби.
and a new tier of modifiers that can roll on the maps.
Тупо Брутус, блядь, був.
There are 5 new tier
На мапі.
17 maps in total, with some
О,
surprising
бля, як
boss
класно
fights at the
виглядає.
end. We'll look at a couple today, and the rest you'll have to
Тупо
discover
кишка.
for yourself. First, we have the Citadel map. This map
Citadel
contains
мапа.
an ancient Kalguran citadel. You will encounter many expedition
Тут буде
monsters
бос
as the signature
експедиції.
packs throughout the map.
Тут буде бос
At the
експедиції.
end, you will fight Uber
Да.
Uhtred.
Убер
This is
Ультер.
a version of a boss from Expedition League, with all its abilities and mechanics enhanced. Uber Uhtred will even be able to summon 2 other expedition bosses to aid it during the fight.
Чели, це 3 боси в одному босфайті.
Secondly, we have the
Так.
Fortress map.
Fortress map.
This
Тут
map is
хейс
an
боси.
impregnable fortress, guarded by monsters from the Heist League. At the end, you will encounter an
Так, і
Uber version
братів
of
ще
the
сюди закиньте.
Unbreakable. Again, it has enhanced
А,
abilities
тобто
and
кулька
mechanics you
Ітера.
have to learn and overcome.
Тому кулька
Each of the
Ітера.
tier 17 map bosses has a chance to drop a unique item, allowing for some target farming.
Катаріна.
However, these aren't
Катаріна в
entirely new
Дельві.
unique
Блядь, що
items.
відбувається?
Instead, we've taken other unique items, removing them from the core drop pool and rebalancing them to fit here. One example is this reworked version of
Так,
Reворk.
реворк новий в
It has
Райсворд.
4 abyss sockets and allows you to summon an additional spectre for each ghastly eye jewel socketed into it.
Самонір,
Another
логіньтесь.
example is
Я
Mana
вибачаюсь.
Storm. This has been rebalanced to grant a lot more damage than before, alongside some more impactful mana stats, if you can get lucky rolls. Alongside
Блядь,
adding
10
tier
тисяч,
17
сука,
maps,
спектрів
we have
тепер
also
будуть,
changed
чого?
the Uber Pinnacle bosses
А
to
флікера
have
коли
completely
баф?
distinct unique item drop pools from their non-Uber counterparts. This means there is a reason to farm both versions.
Так, тепер є
Let's take a look at the
сенс
Shaper
фармити обидві
versus the
версії,
Uber
типу, шейпер і
The
убер
Shaper
шейпер.
will drop
Так,
these
це
uniques.
звичайний шейпер. Дропи.
Voidwalker, Shaper's Touch, Solstice Vigil, and Dying
Це
Sun.
з звичайного шейпера.
Whereas the Uber Shaper will drop these.
З
Echoes
убер
of
шейпера ось це
Creation,
випадає.
Sublime Vision, Entropic Devastation, Starforge, and a new unique belt called the Tides of Time.
Новий пояс. Life Flask. Flask копає.
Another example of a new unique is this helmet from the Uber Eater of Worlds, Ravenous Passion, and these gloves from the Uber Searing Exarch, the Celestial Brace.
Убер Сірінг Зарх
Each of the Uber Pinnacle bosses has a new unique added to their drop.
Кожен Убер Pinnacle бос має новий
We've identified another
новий унік.
major problem with the endgame we'd like to address. With every expansion added to the game, we have been increasing the complexity of running maps. It's at the point now where a player must repeatedly execute a large sequence of steps to run maps efficiently. It can be easy to forget critical steps, and it can
Короче,
be
кажуть, що
tiring to
мапи
repeat.
зазвичай в останні роки будуть набагато
To
складніше
solve
стало
this,
грати.
we are removing some systems,
Вони
but are
прибирають
keeping
якусь
what is
систему.
good
А
about
ну.
them. The two main systems we've removed are Sextants and the Master Mission Selector.
Вони секстанти прибрали
It
і
is
майстер
not our
місії.
intention to dull the content, however. We have completely reworked Scarabs to include most of the options that were previously covered by those
Секстантів більше немає.
mechanics, and many, many more. Let's take a look at some of them. Commonly, you might find
І
Scarabs that
скараби
simply grant
реворкнули.
access to different content. Here, we have a Scarab that causes Beyond Demons to spawn when killing
Beyond
monsters in your
Demon, так.
maps. And here, we have one that adds a Delirium Mirror.
Найс, це супер гуд.
Each type of Scarab now has multiple versions, so if you want to fully invest in a type of content, you can do so. Here's a suite of Ultimatum Scarabs. This Ultimatum Scarab adds an Ultimatum encounter to a map.
Ну, це було вже.
This ultimatum
Це ж
scarab
було
of
вже.
bribing then causes that ultimatum encounter to grant better rewards and its monsters to yield more experience.
І що?
This ultimatum scarab of dueling will cause that ultimatum encounter to always guarantee the Trail Master boss fight at the end.
Тепер просто є
Assuming you can
різні
survive through
типи.
all the rounds.
Типу не просто
This
левел, скажімо,
ultimatum scarab
скараба.
of catalyzing will cause all rewards from that ultimatum to be catalysts instead of other
Каталісти, всі
rewards.
реворди,
And
ультиматум.
finally, this
Бля,
ultimatum
це супер.
scarab of inscription
Єбать.
will cause all catalyst rewards
Чекай.
from that ultimatum to be inscribed ultimatums instead. There are plenty of others. If you
Супер
enjoy
багато буде
divination
скарабів.
card
Чат, вони,
fun,
здається,
you might
SSF
want to use
форсять,
these. This
фіксять.
divination scarab of curation causes more divination cards to drop for each different favored map you have selected. But it also causes whatever map you're running to only drop divination cards from those favored maps. So if you want to try and aim for your mage blood and don't want
Єбать,
to
чат,
farm
SSF,
Crimson
здається, стає
Temple,
краще.
then this scarab is for you. This divination
Ні,
scarab
алло.
of completion causes your divination cards to have a 20% chance to drop as a full stack instead, for maximum
Єбать,
dopamine.
чат.
Basically, there are now just a lot of scarabs. You might have also
Що
noticed that
це?
they no longer
Ой,
have
там ще якісь
tiers.
нові знизу чуть.
Scarabs are now all world drops. You can get them anywhere. Some might be rarer than others, but the intention is that there'll be a lot more options than before, and more interesting combinations to consider. If you want to target specific scarabs, Betrayal has been updated to include most of them, and you will need to relearn which ones come from where. While this system is allowing you to heavily invest in one type of content, it is reducing your capacity for variety. To address this, we have massively increased access to content on the Atlas passive tree.
Що це?
You are now able to reliably get different leagues like Breach or Legion from
Чел,
just
вони
your
збільшили
Atlas
шанси
passes.
на ці штуки. Гні порвуть.
Regarding master missions, content such as Incursion, Delve, Betrayal, and Bestiary, these too are now accessible with scarabs, and have more reliable investment options on the tree. Not only
Окей,
this,
тепер всі
you can
начебто
now
майстер
get
місії
Jun,
через скраби.
Einhar, Alva, and Nico to appear together in the same
І
map.
всі тепер майстер місії прямо в
We
одній
have
мапі
also
можуть
removed
з'явитися.
some keystones such as Wandering Path, Grand Design, and Growing Hordes. But I've added some new ones too.
Нові
For
кейстоуни,
example,
так.
Unwavering Vision,
20 атлас!
Back to Basics, and Thorough Exploration. And we have
Affliction
added some
Wisps.
new notables such as Remarkable Relics, which allows you to try find better variants of scarabs.
Less common varieties.
Mounting modifiers,
Wow.
which increases the values of modifiers
Right,
on your
anyone.
maps by 2% for each explicit modifier. And Tainted Carapaces, which is just one in a set of many that allow you to target farm
Блядь,
specific
скараби
types of
тепер-
scarabs.
Бля, які
These
ж
are
охуєнні
just a
тепер
few
скараби,
of the
боже.
many new notables that can be found on the Atlas passive skill tree.
Я клянусь, ця
Lastly,
приватка
we are
буде
giving you more
просто
flexibility in what content you
ненормальною.
want to run in the endgame. In 3.24, you can now have multiple copies of the Atlas tree, which can be swapped between
Йоу.
maps at your leisure. You can unlock up to 2 extra trees
OPMF
for a
strat.
total of 3 by progressing through the endgame and completing core content. When you open a map, you can select which tree you would like to use. For a given league, you'll never feel constrained to playing your endgame a single way. You can
Ой-ой-ой-ой-ой.
also label your trees to easily identify which one has which
Нарешті,
content.
блядь, будь ласка,
With
лисий,
all this
знімай.
combined, we're hoping to see new endgame strategies shine through. While playing through the campaign in 3.24, you'll
Core
notice
campaign,
a myriad of
tak.
small improvements and surprises. The fundamentals of the campaign are still intact, but we've scattered fun encounters and secrets throughout Rayclast. The Dweller of the Deep has been trapped. What are these ritual shrines doing in the northern forest? And why are they giving me omens?
Що? Ви
This
тепер ліг
device
меха...
looks safe. I should definitely use
Коротше, ви
this on
тепер
my
ліг
items.
механіки будете прямо в...
There are plenty more encounters to
прямо
discover.
в
We'll
сюжеті.
continue adding more surprises
Це
in
гуд. Ну,
future
це
releases.
цікавіше.
So keep an eye out. In the previous expansion, 3.23, we
New
released
Gamer.
a large number of transfigured skill
Покажіть мені
gems.
ще один флікер
These
страйк.
are alternate versions of existing skill gems that function in very different ways, allowing for more
Probably.
build and gameplay variety. At the time, our aspirations were higher than we could achieve. We planned more gems than we could make. So, in 3.24, we're adding another set of transfigured gems that we have now finished.
Так.
Ice Shot,
А що так?
Incinerate, artillery ballista, tornado, elemental hit, kinetic blast, poisonous concoction, and lastly, summon holy relic.
Похуй на свіп.
Hopefully those of
Нахуй
you
він
who missed
треба,
your favorite
забудьте
skill
про
having a
існування свіпа,
transfigured variant
правильно.
will get that here. We will certainly be adding more of these in the future, especially for skills that are missing them still. Of course, we'll also be doing a balance pass on the existing transfigured gems. One of the main ones we're looking at is Kinetic Bolt of Fragmentation. As a result of this change, it is clear that the endgame potential of the Wander archetype really starts to suffer, mostly in the single target damage department. Due to this, we've added the new support gem, Sacred Wisps.
Новий саппорт гем,
This support gem
Sacred
causes
Wisps.
supported skills to create 2 attached wisps for a duration. With these wisps, whenever you attack, they have a chance to also use the same skill, if you have enemies in your presence. And if there are any rare or unique enemies, they will always use the skill.
Коротше, ви тепер
That
можете
leads us
самонити
into all the
скіл.
other quality of
Коротше,
life
зараз
features
поясню.
we're introducing in 3.24, and there's a shitload of them.
Shit
Many of
load.
these have been revealed in teasers already, but here's a quick summary. We've added the automation and call to arms skill gems.
Ой, блядь,
for
закрийте,
being
не
able to trigger
соромтесь.
instant
Оце,
skills and walk
чели,
eyes
не
without
показуйте
having to
навіть
bind
мені
them to
це.
left click.
Не соромтесь.
You can now hold down Control and
Оце
left click to
фу, гіпервуд.
automatically apply certain currency orbs until they achieve the desired result, or you run out. For
Зараз
example,
поясню,
you
зараз
can
поясню.
hold down fusings until
Коротше,
you
тепер
reach
ти можеш
maximum
затискати.
levels.
Затискати, автоматично воно буде юзати фузи.
You will be able to control,
Ну, це
shift,
ти сам
click
бачиш.
currency into a trade window to automatically
До
move all
цього,
of that
зараз покажу.
currency
Коротше,
at
тепер на
once
left
from
клік
your
не можна
inventory.
скіли ставити.
Detonate
Але вони
Dead
скіл
now
там
has
новий
clearer
додали. Зараз
telegraphing
поясню.
effects.
Detonate Dead тепер набагато зручніше
When
видно.
harvest
Краще
crafting,
видно.
the item hover will always be visible.
Тепер ви
So you no
крафтите,
longer
завжди
have to
видно,
mouse back and
що ти
forth
там
to see the
крафтиш.
results of your crafts.
А не треба типу наводити
When you use a
постійно.
Val orb on a map, the map no longer has
Тепер
a chance
нові,
to
коли ти
become
валиш,
unidentified.
нові штуки можуть
Instead,
прокнутися.
it adds a new implicit.
Замість того, щоб
We've created a set of implicits that affect the areas in fun ways.
того, щоб мапа
Related to that,
unidentified.
corrupted and mirrored items can now be identified.
О, Corrupted Mirror Item тепер можуть бути identified. Окей.
And no longer need to be clicked.
Руки автоматично
Upgrades to Pantheon
відкриваються.
powers now apply to all characters in a league.
Пантеон тепер на
You no
всіх
longer need to
персонажів
grind divine vessels
працює.
on each new character. With harvest crafting, you can now re-roll Uber Elder fragments.
Реролити у Береодера
Fragments dropped by the
фрагменти
Shaper
можна.
cannot be re-rolled into fragments dropped by the Elder, and vice versa. Regarding Betrayal, we're removing Ashling's crafting bench as a reward.
Ешлінг крафту тепер немає, замість цього це робить Veilorb.
They
Типу,
remove a
прибирає
mob
один
and
моб
replace it with a
і
veiled
додає
mob.
один Veilmod.
These orbs now drop from Katarina and are no
І
longer
випадає, до
a
речі,
drop.
тільки з Катерина. Тільки з
Flasks can now
Катерини.
be corrupted by
Ексклюзивно.
Val orbs,
І фласки
giving
тепер можна
random
крафтити.
-10 to +10 quality.
Воно дає
The
від мінус
capability
10
to
до
add
плюс
extra
10
quality
quality.
to weapons, armors, and flasks has been removed from Betrayal.
А,
The
окей,
Betrayal
все,
bench craft
Betrayal,
that
забудьте
converts
про
an
крафти
amulet to a
Betrayal.
talisman has been moved to Bestiary, and thus can be traded.
Талісмани тепер можна в
Raven
бестіарії
invitations
робити.
no longer drop.
Чи щось там,
Instead,
коротше.
when you have completed witnessing all bosses required to go to the Maven's
Тепер
arena,
інвайти
you can just talk to Kara,
Мавен, вони
and
не
you'll open a
випадають,
map
але ти
device
просто
window with the
безкоштовно їх можеш
invitation
відкривати.
already in there, ready to be rolled.
Їх не треба тепер
Valor's maps that
вибивати.
granted invitations now give scarabs. No
Що?
more
Я не
having to
почув.
waste guardian
Блядь, що
kills to
скараб?
try get invitations to drop.
Коротше, тепер
Next up,
гварди
we're
будуть
going to
дорожчі.
be talking about our new League supporter packs.
Бо
Today,
немає
we're
цих,
launching two
немає
new
інвайтів.
series of supporter packs.
Так,
The
я
Solar
готовий
and
гроші
Eldritch
витрачати.
packs. Each tier contains the full pack's face value and points, alongside several exclusive microtransactions. These packs are only available for the
Скарабів
duration of
замість
the
кусків
Necropolis
проходок.
League, and will leave the store forever when it ends. As always, the microtransactions in these packs are purely cosmetic and do not affect your character's power or progression
Це
in
цікаво.
any way. The Solar series of supporter packs contains 6 exclusive microtransactions. The Cosmos weapon effect adorns your weapon with stars.
Так, ну
Hitting
прикольно
enemies
виглядає.
causes cosmic energy to spill out into the area
Єбать,
around them.
уявіть на Flicker Strike це.
The Radiant Orb of Chance extra effect projects the outcome of items you've used an Orb of Chance on
Orb of
above your head.
Chance.
Remember to congratulate other exiles in town if you see them chance a powerful unique item.
Шевронь.
Shine
Snub.
boldly with the Solar Knight armor set.
Ой, дуже
The
гарно.
power of the sun radiates from your body, getting more and more intense as you use skills and emitting solar flares
Коли
as
ти
you run.
юзаєш скіли, коротше, воно підсилюється.
With the supernova level up extra effect, the
Level
dead will
up
be
extra
raised
effect.
from the ground around you, before being
Прикольно.
obliterated and turned to ash by an epic supernova whenever you level up.
Прикольно. Але у мене,
This one
начебто,
is my
гарніший
personal
левел-ап
favorite.
ефект.
The cosmic turtle hideout lets you travel the infinite expanse of the cosmos
Тупо
atop the
hideout
back of a
черепахи.
colossal turtle.
Вау.
Carry the weight of the sun on your back with the Solar Guardian back attachment. Witness it grow larger and larger as the energy of slain enemies is funneled into
Чим
it.
більше ти вбиваєш, тим
When
більше
it
сонце
reaches its
росте.
maximum size, it goes supernova and turns into a black hole, forever drifting throughout Rayclast.
Мені не дуже подобається
The
картина.
Eldritch Pack series also has 6 exclusive microtransactions. Are you wondering if we moved the stash in the latest patch? Don't be fooled, because with the Mimic Stash Pet, players can transform into an image of a stash when in a town or hideout and scare unsuspecting exiles. This pet follows behind you with its terrifying hand-walking the rest of the time.
Мікрофон їбало, як то
The
кажуть.
Shaper's Slam finisher effect sends slain unique enemies
Finisher.
into a
Final abyss of unending darkness.
Нормально.
The Eldritch Hunger armor set contains a beast that demands you
That's
defeat
прикольно,
it
до
by
речі.
embracing your bloodlust. Watch it grow in power the more you kill until it bursts
більше
from the
вбиваєш?
shell of the helmet. Are you able to satiate its hunger?
Ага.
The seed within the corrupted growth map device expands
Yeah.
its grasp on your hideout,
Ого.
the more maps you complete on your atlas.
Чим більше мапи
Equipping
проходиш
the
на Атласі.
Headhunter character effect causes skulls of slain rare enemies to
Headhunter?
whirl around you like trophies. They become enraged when you are near a rare enemy you are yet to kill, wishing for them to join your collection.
Це якийсь
Witness a
ефект
reality where
персонажа
the
просто.
struggle didn't exist, allowing the Eldritch Horrors to settle their own conflicts with the Eldritch Horror Apparition effect. Which
Апарічний
of the
ефект.
Eater of Worlds or
No.
Searing Exarch do you think will win? These packs are now available for purchase on both PC and console, and will remain so during
Mama.
Path of Exile Necropolis.
Це перший.
Meanwhile, the Shade and Disciple packs leave the store forever at the launch of Necropolis League. So now's your last chance to
А,
purchase them.
такі собі
Thank
Сапорт
you
паки
so
в цій лізі
much for
були.
your ongoing support.
А оцей
We're just about to start the
класний.
Q&A with Ziggy D. Afterwards, we'll post Path of Exile Necropolis' full patch notes. With release at the end of
111
next week,
тисяч онлайн.
our community team
Це
will be
відсотків буде
posting
більше.
crucial information you'll need for Necropolis,
Ай, куди, бля, а чому?
the new mystery box, and this season's Kerax Vault Pass. Thank you for joining us today and checking out our latest developments. We're looking forward to doing some awesome gravecrafts and conquering the new in-game bosses with you next week.
Бля,
We'll
і
begin the
ендгейм
Q&A
боси нові,
shortly,
боже.
so please get your questions ready.
Як я буду Т-17 на флікері на фриваті закривати? Я що, йобнутий? Вау.